Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to explore a concept and a system that I wish I learned when I was younger, and I wish that my teachers taught me when I was a younger and an upcoming player, because it would have saved me so much time, so much heartache, and so much frustration with guitar and speed. So this is something that I had to spend a lot of time investigating, researching, studying under some really great players and some great technical players, figuring out how to develop a system for myself, but also for my students and anyone that I teach. And this is what I use to get results and how to build someone's speed very quickly on the guitar. And I'm going to be sharing that system with you today. Now, first thing, for whatever reason, almost as if in another lifetime, I studied engineering at university. Now, my dream back then was to become part of the Aussie muscle car manufacturing industry. But some decisions by our amazing Australian government led to the collapse of the Australian automotive industry. And that meant for me that those dreams had to be put on hold, which absolutely sucked. What my degree in engineering taught me was a particular way to think. It taught me that I needed to build systems, and those systems, like an engine, had to be repeatable and they had to be predictable if I was to get results. So I applied this to guitar. I applied this to my own technique and my own abilities, and I still apply it every single practice session to what I'm doing. And this is why I've been able to get to the points of being able to play things like Necrophagist and Dimebag Darrell and all the stuff that I really dreamed of as a younger player, which I couldn't back then. And it's also how I've been able to get results with my students and help them achieve their goals as well. So today I'm going to share this system and this process with you so that you can get results too. So today we're going to talk about speed, a massive concept that's very important for us as metalheads if we really want to be accomplished on the guitar, because technique and technical ability is such an essential part of playing metal. And this is why I love metal as a genre in particular. But it's obviously applicable to almost everything that you do. You want to feel in control, you want to feel comfortable, you want to feel relaxed on the guitar. So the first thing, if you haven't done so already, is I want you to go and watch my video on the 5 critical mistakes that people make with their practice routines. I'll link it in here now, because in this video I talk about some fundamentals of how to approach your practice sessions and certain things that have to be in place for you to be practicing every day, for example, for you to be patient, for you to be consistent. If you don't have this as a foundation, then we're really building on a house of cards here, and none of this stuff around speed is going to work. So go and watch that video before you move any further forward on this video today. Now, with speed, you have to be working on your technique. You have to be trying to improve it, and usually I will select a certain technique and then apply this speed building system to it for, say, a 6 or 12 month block of practice for my own routine. And yes, I say 6 or 12 months because it can take that long. So please make sure you watch this video first on the 5 critical mistakes that people make with their practice before proceeding any further forward with this video today. Okay, so now I'm going to get stuck into the concepts today, assuming you have watched that video and you're practicing regularly and consistently and you understand the difference between playing and practice. Very important concept. So I focus on metal guitar a lot on my channel and as a teacher in my private studio. The first thing we need to do is select a technique and understand what techniques that we're going to work on being a metal player. In metal, we have quite a few that we can select from. We have, for example, down picking, galloping, alternate picking. We've got thrash picking, maybe tremolo picking, legato, sweep picking, economy picking, tapping, and a bunch more. Now, let's say you have a goal of wanting to be able to play Master of Puppets with down picking like James Hetfield does at the original song tempo, but you can't do it just yet. What most people do is they try and play up against the song at 100% speed, or maybe they just never even attempt trying to play against the song because they know that the song will just run away from them within the first 5 seconds. So attempting it is really futile, right? They also don't put in the time to working on the mechanics of their technique and actually looking at it and analyzing the hands to see what's going on. But now we've got this example of wanting to play Master of Puppets at 100% speed with downpicking, we can apply our speed building system to it. So let me share a couple of concepts with you. So I've got a diagram I'm going to put up on the screen here which talks about the different speed zones. You'll see there's 3 different speed zones here. We have the floor speed, we have the working tempo, and we have the ceiling speed. So the floor speed is the lowest of the 3 speeds, and it's basically where we're just comfortable. I talk about this in my video that I mentioned before, the 5 critical mistakes people make when practicing. This is where you don't really get any growth and you're just staying in the comfort zone and you're just maintaining your playing. The sensation when you're in your comfort zone is that you don't really need to be focused. Now let's move into the second speed zone here, the working speed. So the working speed is where the magic actually happens, and this is where we want to aim to practice all the time. If we're in this zone, we'll actually have a sensation of feeling a little bit of pressure, feeling a little bit of heat on ourselves and having to focus. Any distractions or anything that go on outside of us, like the phone going off or someone trying to message us, will actually knock us out of being able to play whatever we're working on. And the last speed zone here is the ceiling speed. This is this light blue zone. This is where we're pushing into a shock place where we can't really play what we're playing, but this will kind of activate and shake us out of a plateau at times. But most of the time, if we spend too long in this ceiling speed, we actually develop poor form and poor technique, so we don't want to be here too long. So the critical concept here is the working speed. This is where we want to live and breathe with our practice. Okay, great. So now that we have that understanding, we need to apply this to whatever technique or song that we are working on. So the first thing is that we must get really comfortable with playing along with either a metronome or a backing track. And we have to learn to identify by feel each of these 3 speed zones with whatever we are working on. Now, having taught this to many students now, I'm watching heaps of my students absolutely kill it with their speeds over the years. I see 2 types of personalities when it comes to this speed building process, which we need to understand, and we need to understand which one of the 2 you are. We have number 1, the speed demon. Number 2, the cruiser. The speed demons are usually type A people or real go-getters. They have no problem executing and want to get results, so motivation isn't really the issue. But learning to slow down and not burn out usually is. The speed demon usually goes hard and fast, and they have to learn patience and to not cut corners because they want results quickly. And the simple matter of fact with guitar is that you have to respect it, and it takes time. Speed especially takes a long time to develop. The speed demons don't like this. Now, the second personality type is the cruiser. The cruiser is someone who's usually a bit more chilled out in life. They're okay going with the flow a little bit and are usually quite patient but lack urgency and often have trouble getting themselves into a zone where they're working it or they're sweating a little bit. They don't like feeling the burn as much as the first personality type does, and they'll often hold themselves back a little bit because they don't want to feel stressed out or like they're working too hard. Now, it doesn't matter which one of these 2 personality types you are. What matters is that you understand the weaknesses of whichever type you are, and you have a game plan in place to work around those weaknesses, and you're aware of them. So if you're a speed demon like I am, you're going to have to learn to slow down and be more patient with yourself. You're going to have to learn to apply yourself a bit more over longer periods of time and step into a zone of being a little bit more patient and resilient. Or if you're the cruiser, you're going to have to learn to step up a little bit more, to put a bit more heat on yourself and to kind of put a bit more pressure on yourself and step into a zone of actually pushing yourself and being really honest with yourself when you aren't pushing yourself. So now that we understand this concept, we have to use our speed building system with these personality types and technology to actually slow down things to our working tempo. And this is a hard thing to identify. But once we do, the magic starts to happen because we spend time in our working tempo. How long we spend depends on the technique. It depends on our ability levels and a lot of factors. But if we go back to our example of playing Master of Puppets, Maybe we need to slow things right down to say 60% of the original tempo of the song to acclimate and get our hands working at this tempo. Now, if it's in there fast, it's in there slow. This is what I say to people: if you cannot play it slowly, you cannot play it quickly. So if we actually have the patience and the resilience to slow down a song and work in our working tempo, with the general rule being you can play it 3 to 5 times comfortably without any mistakes, you're then able to push your working tempo up by 5 to 10% and repeat the process. This is the system. This is how we start to stagger our speed and get better and better on the guitar, but it takes time, but it's absolutely bulletproof. This is something I've learned over many, many years of both my own personal playing and teaching. It's something I wish I had people sit me down and teach me when I was younger. I wish I had more clarity on this. I reckon I'd be a better player if I did. But when I'm working on super technical stuff, like some of the Necrophagus solo covers, if I shortcut this process, it just takes me longer. If I really suck it up and sometimes slow right down to below 50%, I then have massive quantum leaps in speed in my practice sessions over days, weeks, maybe even months, depending how difficult the piece is. Now, one last important concept we need to talk about is guitar CPU. In my video, The 5 Critical Practice Mistakes, I talk about the difference between playing and practicing. What I don't talk about in this video is the concept of guitar CPU, which I'm going to explore with you today. Guitar CPU is the term I use to describe the brain's ability to process information and handle speed. We all have a different CPU level, and if we find and work in our working tempo zone that we spoke about before, we will really feel the heat and the burn mentally. And we have a finite amount of energy and time in which we can actually stay within this CPU zone when we are practicing. If we spend too long, our brains actually start to overcook and we get what I call CPU overload. It's like when you have too many tabs open on your computer and your computer starts to freeze up and slows down. Your brain does the same thing. But here is the critical part. Your guitar CPU is like a muscle and you need to condition it and expand it and work on its endurance so that over time it can handle more. It can handle more detail, it can handle more information, and most of all, it can handle more speed. This is something I wish someone taught me when I was younger, and it's something I've never heard any great shredder talk about on an instructional DVD or VHS, and I wish that they did. I'm massively into psychology, and I did my master's in NLP and hypnosis because the brain just plain fascinates me, and I wanted to learn as much as I could about it. And I think that's where I figured this concept out from. So coming back to our diagram of the 3 speed zones, working in your working tempo will fry your brain and deplete your CPU. You should feel mentally cooked after a good speed building session. And then you come back and over the course of weeks, months, years, you expand and you build out your CPU and its ability to handle information, detail, speed, and endurance. So these are the concepts that I wanted to share with you today around speed. Obviously, you're going to go and need to apply this. So you can go and check out my free 7-day metal guitar bootcamp where I work on this with a bunch of techniques to get your chops back in shape. Learned something cool today? Awesome. Now go and watch my next video on how to not feel stuck on the guitar and the different phases of progression in the guitar journey so that you get clarity. See you in the next video.